Hello, everyone. Welcome to Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I am your host, Dan Besbris, and it is Distract Yourself Wednesday here on the pod with a 12-game basketball card that we get to explore. We are so fortunate to get to explore this 12-game Wednesday card. I'm realizing I probably don't need my earbuds in, and these ones are cheap, and they keep falling out of my ears anyway, so we're going to try to do today's show without earbuds. And we'll actually see how that goes. It might be a total wreck. I might end up screaming into the microphone, but only one way to find out. You can find me on social media at Dan Besbris as I spill water on myself. Off to a glistening start on today's episode. It's DANBESBRIS. Please take a second to hit that like button. Subscribe to the podcast as we continue to try to grow this thing, this Old Man Squad. Very slow-moving freight train. You can follow Old Man Squad on Twitter, Old Man Squad Fantasy over on Instagram. I'm not changing up anything on social media as a result of the election that happened last night. I'm just going to keep doing things the way we're doing it, so you don't have to worry about any large-scale changes in that instance. This show is brought to you by our buddies at Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football to basketball, college basketball, hockey, UFC, and MMA, Bet Online has you covered. Head there today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering, Bet Online. The game starts here. This is our Wednesday preview show. We got a svelte 12-gamer, which under normal circumstances would feel like a lot of basketball, but after the 15-gamer on Monday, this seems weirdly manageable. But I do want to add one little thing. I think this show is going to be shorter than a lot of our preview shows, and I think the preview shows in general are going to get shorter because, well, we're still going to have the injury replacement stuff. And, I mean, we can move through that at kind of a decent clip or maybe spend a little bit more time on the injury replacement side and a little bit less time on the what we're watching for. If for no other reason, then we have a pretty good idea of what the teams are now. Like, we get it, I think, right? Don't we? So the what to watch for stuff, what we're going to be focusing on as we go through this page, those that are watching on YouTube, hey, hit the like button and subscribe, everybody, and drop that 5-star review. As we work our way through this stuff, we're going to be looking at the things that I believe are changes. There's like a delta that could happen from the game this evening. So I'm not going to put a thing on the board that's like, oh, we're watching to see if Tyrese Halliburton can keep getting better. Tyrese Halliburton is good. He's not magically just going to not be good. We have separate shows. We'll do some shows on buy lows and sell highs going forward now that those, I think, we had like a big one a couple weeks ago, but we'll wedge in some smaller ones of those. But I don't think we need to put all of that in every one of these little previews. So let's just get going. Work on the team by team first, and then we'll switch over to the burger board, which, by the way, I'll say it again later on. You all have access to all the time right now. The burger board is officially in my super Google sheet, the one that's going to have everything I'm working on. It's free. It's open to the public. It's available all the time. The link is in the show description, and it's categorized by how many burgers I give these guys, and that'll all make sense to those of you that are new in a few moments. But let's get through this thing. Pistons, nothing. So just as a footnote on Pistons, a week ago, 2 days ago, whatever, my Pistons note might have been, hey, can Jalen Duren and Tobias Harris start getting things moving in the right direction? They have. Jalen Duren is back up right near the edge of the top 100. His free throw number is still terrible, and that's mostly what's holding him back, along with minutes. But Tobias Harris is right around that same range. You know, he's up to 44%, not where we want him exactly. But, like, if Tobias just continues to do the same stuff that he's been doing the last week, basically, after the very slow start, he'll be fine. He's number 58 over the last week. That's around what you thought you were getting. And frankly, if he keeps up those same exact numbers, he'll be higher than that. There are guys ahead of him that won't stay there over that same stretch as the board kind of settles back in. So that's the difference in what we're going to be doing now on these preview shows, in contrast to what we did even as recently as a couple days ago. So I'm not going to put stuff like that in there anymore. We've set that aside. All right, let's get moving a little bit. You've got one team now. That's not many teams to get through. We had a lot of preface on today's show, and I apologize about that. Hornets, watching Brandon Miller, I'd love to know what he's going to be because we have almost no data on him. He got hurt halfway through that first game. He was in a blowout here coming back. We don't really know what he's going to be this year. My take on Miller is that he's going to be somewhere in that like 60 to 100 range, but we'll see. And then what is his return and full minutes due to Trey Mann? I personally think that Mann is going to be cooked with Brandon Miller back, but I could be wrong. That's why we watch and see how it goes. And then with the Hornets, with all of their centers down, Mark Williams is still dealing with the tendon deal, and Nick Richards broke a rib. So Grant Williams is kind of the last man standing. They played Taj Gibson, who's, I think, 52 years old now. But it feels like it's got to either be Grant Williams or small ball. And he's kind of small ball himself. I guess we'll see. I don't have enough confidence to play Grant Williams, but maybe he can kind of get going here. For the Magic, can Goga Batadze separate himself as the starting center with Wendell Carter Jr. out? And then, of course, we ask how long that's even going to be. So this is sort of a small one. The Pacers, Benedict Mathurin is the guy to watch to see if he's worth streaming while Aaron Nesmith is out. He's looked decent. So I'm leaning towards yes, although I think I trust it more on the head-to-head side just because of some kind of statistical gaps for Mathurin on the 9-cat side. But it does seem like he's probably worth a stream. And I believe he's on. Yeah, there he is. He's on the burger board. You'll see that in a little bit. The Knicks, nothing. Well, we could dig deep to figure out something there, but nothing. The Hawks, is Clint Capella a drop? Because it sure seems like it. And this is one that I think most analysts were all over this one, which was you don't want anything to do with Clint Capella this year. He's number 142, and that's really only because he's shooting 75% at the free throw line instead of 55. If this was down where he normally is in 22 minutes a game, he's outside the top 160, maybe even farther down the board. He's not even a punt free throw success story right now, averaging 9 and 6.5. The only real positive for Capella is field goal percent, but he's only taking 5.5 shots. So how much does that even really help? I'm inclined to say that you can probably turn Capella into a streamer slot. But maybe he'll prove me wrong on any given night. Hasn't happened yet, though. And then there's all these little fringy things with the Hawks, but I don't think I'm that worried about it. Because Dyson Daniels is back. So, I mean, you want me to put Zachary Reese-Shea on the board? We know what he's going to be. So that's why he's not on the watch list. He's going to be a super low-efficiency rookie who's getting a lot of opportunity with Bogdan Bogdanovic and DeAndre Hunter out. And he's going to get better as the year goes. But right now, he's going to probably do more harm than good. The Warriors, they are D'ing up so far this year. Warriors defense has been really, really good, and I don't see anyone talking about it. Which is one of those things I don't like to throw around unless I really don't. But the Warriors are 6-1. Why aren't they getting more love? They missed a couple games of Steph, and they managed to sort of hang steady just fine. In any event, Buddy Hield, he's a first-rounder right now. I think we know that's going to come down, but the question is how far. Andrew Wiggins, is he a potential bounce back after one slow ball game? Let's find out what he really is going to be kind of as the season unfolds, because we're at a point right now where one really bad ball game can drop a guy from 40th to 100 in the rankings. That's kind of what happened with Wiggins. So where does he actually land with all of this? I think my Wiggins take is that he's going to be somewhere like around 90. But there's a lot left to figure out with him. And then Brandon Podziemski, who you guys know I was way, way out on Podziemski. He was not a player that I was intrigued in any real meaningful way. I thought that we were being sold kind of a bill of goods on him, and it's looking like it, but can he get that turned around? He's number 212 right now in 9-cat. And admittedly, the percentages are even low for him, but it ain't like there's that much left for him to do. So I say yes. The Celtics, Payton Pritchard has been on a season-long heater. That's actually not true. He was cold for one game, and he's been hot as hell for 7 after that. He's averaging 4 3-pointers a game. But the nice thing right now is that it doesn't matter because Jaylen Brown is out. So Pritchard is an obvious play. And once they all get back, then we'll kind of get a feel for what is Pritchard really going to do? What are his minutes really going to look like? And can he hit this many three-pointers? Well, the Lakers, I had Rui on this list, and then he got downgraded to doubtful. So that doesn't really matter. I wonder if the Lakers throw this one. So Rui is doubtful. The Lakers have gotten no production at all from their bench. I don't actually even know what the hell they do if one of their starters is out. Anthony Davis is questionable as far as we know, so they might be down a couple of guys. It's not going to go great if AD is out. In terms of Rui, if he's healthy, I think I would still hang on and play him. His field goal percent is down at 42 right now. That seems likely to trend back up a little bit. So I'm still in overall, although, again, he's likely doubtful. When you get downgraded to doubtful on game day, you're probably not playing. And then D'Angelo Russell, I'm putting him on this list here because I think his situation is a little bit different than your average buy low because they just had him in a bad rotation for like the first 5 games of the year. And then the last 2, the D'Lo rotation has been better. What I mean by that is, like, who does he share the floor with on a given ball game? And you can see it in the numbers. He's just done more the last 2 games, 2.5, maybe 3, I think the last 2, than the previous ones. He just suddenly, his role got bigger. He took 13 and 14 shots. He averaged 7 assists over those games. No, he's not making them right now. D'Lo can't shoot to start the year. But that, to me, is the big story, is, a competitive ball game. His minutes are fine. He's 32, 33 minutes a game. And in a competitive game, he's getting to do more. He's out there with Anthony Davis more, so the assists are better. His shots are more frequent because he's not sharing the floor with LeBron or Austin Reeves as often. And Anthony Davis is often a guy who needs someone to get him the ball in the right spot. Not that he can't create his own thing. Before we get to the Memphis Grizzlies, let's take a very brief commercial break. All right, Grizzlies. Zach Edey coming off a monster of a ball game, and he's vaulted himself way up the board from not on the board to number 174. Can he keep it going? Pippen and Santi Aldama are, and then Jalen Wells are kind of like the 3. I trust the first 2 names there. Scottie Pippen is the easiest one to trust because point guard stats, you get fantasy numbers quickly. Aldama is kind of a distant second streamer I would trust, and then Jalen Wells I don't trust yet at all, really. For the Spurs, with Jeremy Sohan ruled out for 4 to 6, probably 6 weeks is my guess on that one, and then Devin Vassell not back yet. Julian Champagnie, Keldon Johnson, which of these guys do we lean into? It would seem like Champagnie's the guy to start with because he gets the start. He got a lot of minutes in the last ball game when Sohan went down. Keldon Johnson is the guy who does more damage by scoring, but if he's not hot, I don't know that he's going to just get to play, but it might end up actually being both of them when all is said and done. The Rockets, the bench has been a factor for 2 games in a row, and this is why we tried so hard to say, hold. I know it's difficult. See if you can hold. Try to hold. See if you can make it. I know how complicated it is. But then I guess it does sort of beg the secondary question of what does all of this mean for guys like Alperen Şengün, Jabari Smith Jr., even Dylan Brooks. Probably not as much Jalen Green, but also Jalen Green. And the only guy's minutes we haven't really seen impacted almost at all are Freddie VanVleet, which, great. He's actually hit a few shots in their last ball game. That's a nice sign for him. But I would be more worried about all these other guys because, like, if you're looking at the game log, the only guy whose minutes have been basically virtually untouched by anything going on with the Rockets rotations has been Freddie VanVleet. The Cavaliers. I haven't talked much about the Cavs because they're just steamrolling teams, but Donovan Mitchell is off to a very slow start this season at just 23 points, 3 boards, and 4 assists. The steals are down. The free throw is down. Is Donovan Mitchell a buy low, or is Darius Garland just so good now and healthy that this is actually what's going to happen. I think it's a buy low. Mitchell's minutes are under 30 because the Cavs are blowing everybody out. It's only going to get better from here. Does he get into the first round for the second or third year in a row? I don't know, because first of all, we're going to need the free throw rate to go up. We're going to need the field goal attempts to go up. We're going to need the rebounding and the assists to come up, the steals, the scoring. There's a lot of stuff that needs to get there. I think we probably see Donovan Mitchell get to the second round, maybe not the first this year, but it still creates some kind of window here. If you can get him for a third rounder, I think you definitely do it. The Pelicans, you're just watching the injury report, because depending on who's in and who's out, you're going to have multiple different streamers you can look at. Jordan Hawkins, is he in or out? Brandon Boston, is Hawkins in or out? Alvarado, seems like he's a lock to be a decent play because we know McCollum's still out. Well, the Pelicans are just straight up cursed at this point. I can do this every once in a while, Chicago Bulls. The only question for me on the Bulls is LaVine's status. By the way, shout out to the Chicago freaking Bulls for playing so damn fast this year that everybody's got fantasy value. I thought we were going to get a bit of a logjam, and frankly, we still could, but they are racking up so many possessions per game that it doesn't even matter. Everybody's getting a ton of shots. I think the efficiency may come down for Chicago as teams kind of get a scouting report on what the team's doing these days. But at least in the short term, you're just asking whether or not Zach LaVine is playing. If he's out, you can stream Dosunmu. If LaVine is in, I don't think I would. Mavericks are down a couple of front quarters. No Derek Lively, no PJ Washington. Although Lively just got upgraded to doubtful, so I guess maybe there's an outside shot, but it sure seems like, look, I don't know how. Maybe you get another big Najee Marshall game. He probably gets the start for PJ Washington. But I would think that at this point, there really isn't much they could do that doesn't involve Daniel Gafford. So this feels like a near guarantee, he says, knowing that nothing in life is guaranteed. The Thunder, nothing, man. Caruso's a wrap. The Nuggets down Aaron Gordon for a long haul. Well, we don't know how long. Shams was a bit coy on his ESPN video hit when he was like, it could be 2 weeks. It could be way more than 2 weeks. We don't really know on Aaron Gordon. Either way, Peyton Watson time. Get Peyton Watson. Yeah, I mean, here, like, the Peyton Watson story is kind of an interesting one because, and I'll admit that I fell a little bit victim to this. It feels like he's had a lot of big ball games scattered over like 2 seasons. But the reality is he's really only had a handful. I would recommend, and I did this before coming on air, if you go through the Peyton Watson game log over the last, well, this year and then last year, let's make it simple. There are maybe 3 total times he cleared 28, 29 minutes in a basketball game. And the lines he put up were very, very good. But the sample size is extraordinarily small. And that's what I want us to think about here. I love Peyton Watson. I picked him up in almost every league where I had anyone even remotely droppable. So let me make that perfectly clear. I'm big time into Peyton Watson as your Aaron Gordon fill-in because he's going to score a little bit. He's going to rebound. He's going to get a ton of steals and blocks. That's what he can do. And then everybody playing alongside Nikola Jokic just looks like a damn world beater. C: Christian Brown. C: Aaron Gordon before he went down. So I think Peyton Watson is going to put up some pretty good numbers, but we don't know precisely what they're going to be because our data to work off of here is relatively sparse. I threw Russell Westbrook on the list because, look, it's funnier for me to make fun of him, but in a points league, he is probably startable as the Jamal Murray fill-in. 9-cat, don't do it. The Miami Heat, I don't care at all. Until someone gets hurt, there's nothing there. Last page of teams, YouTubers. Suns. Did Yusuf Nurkic wake up? He finally had a legitimately good ball game in their last one. Or was it a matchup thing? And then what does that mean for Royce O'Neal, who still actually had a pretty good ball game last time out? And Royce is quietly punching along at a top 60 clip right now on excellent percentages. 2 3-pointers and 1.7 defensive stats, plus 6.6 rebounds in only 25.5 minutes a game. because a lot of his minutes are logged with no real center on the court. Not all of his minutes, because between Nurk and Plumlee, they're still chewing up like 39, 40 minutes of center stuff. But 8 minutes of Royce O'Neal out there, I guess technically as the center, or he and Kevin Durant, sort of like a mix match power forward center thing. We saw what that did for guys like Rob Covington in the past and LeBron James. When you play a small forward at center, their stat set gets great. And that's kind of what we're seeing with Royce O'Neal right now. His stat set is just evolving. But if last ball game was the start of the Yusuf Nurkic renaissance, then I think that's going to ultimately hurt Royce. So that's something that I'm paying really close attention to tonight. They're not all like, we have a lot of things that are flying around when we do these look ahead shows. The Suns center stuff, I think, is a focal point. The Raptors, this is a pretty easy one. We talked about it at great length on like 2 shows, the Davion Mitchell stream, the Gradey Dick stream. I almost called him Dick Grady. Ochai Agbaji stream. We just wait because eventually quickly he's going to come back, and that'll probably knock out Mitchell. And then Barnes will come back, and that'll knock out Agbaji. And then Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk will come back. And once everybody's back, then I don't know if any of these 3 dudes are going to do stuff. And then one YouTuber made a point that once the Raptors look back into tank mode, then Gradey Dick is going to have a lot of value again. That's true. And I don't think I should ignore that, but also we're like a solid 3 and some odd months away from teams really going into the tank. So let's not take the middle 60% of the season and pretend it doesn't exist. There's still going to be a lot there. There's distinct chunks we have to get through. Sacramento Kings, we're just waiting on Kevin Huerter. If Herter's out, do we have the stones to stream Keon Ellis? I probably don't. Malik Monk? I probably don't. And if Herter's back, would I bother playing him? I don't think so. I know he's number 83 so far, but it's because he's shooting 49% from the field, and he hasn't taken a free throw yet, which generally don't help him. He's also at 1.8 defensive stats, so nah. Sixers, I'm waiting to find out what Paul George's return does to Kelly Oubre Jr. I think you're holding Oubre until you get an answer. And then the Clippers, there's really nothing until we get any kind of news on Kawhi Leonard. Anything at all. Anything at all, please. By the way, it sounds like LaMelo Ball just got downgraded to questionable while we're talking, so that's annoying. Ankle soreness. Uh-oh. That feels like he's going to sit. I don't think that dude's playing through an ankle thing right now. Nor should he. Take a day off, LaMelo. Just don't push it. Don't worry, friends. We are not done because we have the burger board. If you are watching, which, you know, maybe you get a little bit more that way. I don't know. And I'll say it again. I am extraordinarily grateful for those of you that continue to listen to our shows because the advertisements on the listening side pay about 7 times as much as the ads on the YouTube side. But I also realize that some of this stuff is easier to see and to internalize and kind of visualize when you have a visual aid like we do on YouTube. And what I've done now is I've added a tab to my super Google sheet, which has many things. It has the ESPN pre-ranks from before the season. It has ADPs from before the season, the Yahoo pre-ranks from before the season, the Pros versus Joe's ADP. You guys remember that show we did with Alex Rickling. It's got my buckets, which I'm going to leave completely untouched all season long so you guys can see how guys are doing. I might start to color code those a little bit depending on how my targets are performing. It's got an in-season rank board, which we're going to do a show on that later on today, so that should be fun. And now, in addition to the streaming chart, which YouTubers, I'll just flash that on the screen. That's what that looks like. We've got the burger board, which for those that are sitting out there watching for the first time or listening for the first time and saying, what the crap are you talking about, Dan? What is a burger board, for God's sake? Well, it's my shorthand for the injury replacement board. Players who have a big-time opportunity to post individually huge fantasy lines, or ranging, I guess, anywhere from pretty good to very, very big fantasy lines because something got out of their way. It's the removed impediment board. And somewhere along the line, last year or the year before, I started ranking how much I liked the injury replacements using burger emojis. 3 burgers was someone I thought could post like a 4th round value line or better. 2 burgers were guys that I thought could be like a 6th, 7th rounder or better. 1 burger was guys that I thought were pretty well guaranteed to be inside the top 100. And no burgers were guys that I thought you could kind of coin flip them. They might have a decent game. They might get you inside the top 100. They might not. They might end up being more in that filler territory, but it's not clear exactly yet. So the burger board as it is right now, and I haven't, so what everybody's looking at on the YouTube version is all of the names. I haven't sorted these by who's actually playing tonight. What I should probably do is go through and just highlight the players that are going on any given evening. But for now, I'm going to give you the entire burger board on the show, and you guys can just, what's the term? X out. You can X out the players that aren't playing tonight. So the triple burger, the only one for me right now is Norman Powell, who's one of the true shooting experts of the NBA so far this season. I don't know what Norman Powell's going to be when Kawhi Leonard comes back. He's probably got a shot to be near top 100, but he's not going to be anywhere near what he's doing right now. And the reason I know this is because last year, when one of the 3 big guys was out for the Clippers and Norm went from being the 4th fiddle to the 3rd fiddle, he still wasn't inside the top 100. 2 burgers, Payton Pritchard with Jaylen Brown out, Jose Alvarado with CJ McCollum out, Gradey Dick with all the Raptors out, and Bobby Portis if Giannis misses another ball game. 1 burger, Rui Hachimura, if he plays. Sounds like he might not now. He got himself a flu bug. That'll happen to these guys on long road trips, man. They get locked in these hotel rooms. They're going out to restaurants together. They're going to clubs together, whatever. Guys always get colds when they're on a long road trip. Scottie Pippen Jr. With Smart and Bane out. He's a 1 burger guy. John Collins with Lauri Markkanen out. Could he be back? I don't think we have an update on Markkanen yet today. Jordan Hawkins, if he plays, is a 1 burger guy with Trey and DeJounte out. Davion Mitchell, IQ and Bruce Brown being out. Andre Drummond, who's been quite bad, actually, with Joel Embiid out, but I'm going to leave him as a 1 burger guy. Peyton Watson, I'm going to put 1 burger on. I reserve the right to upgrade him to 2 if it really looks like it's going well. We already talked about that. Ayo Dosunmu, if Zach LaVine is out, is a 1 burger guy. And then Bub Carrington, who I don't think the Wizards are playing tonight, so that's why he didn't come up on today's show, but something to keep in the back of your head with Malcolm Brogdon and Kyle Kuzma down. My no burger guys, the 0 burger plays, the ones that I don't have a ton of confidence in, but might still get you a good line. Santi Aldama in Memphis. That's again with Smart and Bane on the shelf. Tumani Kamara in Portland, who's rolling right now on the backs of big-time steals numbers. That's why he's inside the top 100. But if those dry up even a little bit, he falls outside the top 100 very quickly. Brandon Boston Jr., that's only if all of the Pelicans and Jordan Hawkins are out. Ochai Agbaji, who's probably deserves 1 burger, but I still don't, I just don't know if he's going to keep shooting as well as he has. That's with Barnes and Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk and et cetera. Julian Champagnie might get upgraded to 1 burger. This is with Vassell and Sohan out. I don't have Keldon Johnson on this board because I don't know that I trust him even to get close, but he might work his way on there if he looks pretty good. Benedict Mathurin, we talked about him with Nesmith, and then Russell Westbrook in points leagues only with Jamal Murray on the shelf. So again, I'll go through this board for those that are looking at the burger board in the Google Sheet. Again, link in the show description, totally free. Everything I'm doing this year is 100% free, and my hope is to continue that forever. And I'll color code the guys that are actually playing on a given night. So that'll be probably something I have to annotate as well. All right, let's get out of here in under 30. That's the goal today. 29 minutes. That's can I get out fast enough? Please do like, subscribe, share, do a 5-star review. Follow me on Twitter at Dan Besbris. Again, I would just tiny bit of advice. I know there's going to be this, depending on how you felt about yesterday's results. You guys know where I stand on all this stuff, so we're not going to go down that path. I would just say, whatever stand you feel like you need to make, go for it. But I'm going to continue to be on the fastest social media platform because it's a weapon for us to try to win our fantasy leagues. So I would ask you guys to hang with me. If you want to unfollow everybody else, that's totally fine. But let's keep winning our fantasy leagues. And in, a few months or whatever. Also, by the way, like if you're mad about yesterday, and I'm sure some of you that listen to my show are mad, and some of you are probably glad, there is no change for another couple of months. So let's just keep winning our leagues for now. And we'll figure it all out as we go. I'm Dan Bespers for Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. Back later today with what I think is going to be a really fun show, which is mostly tracking player rank movement to find out who's the hottest, the coldest, and like how the ebb and flow of player again, it's the hot cold thing of how player results go over a fantasy season. I think we often lose sight of like how players get good and bad and good and bad and good and bad and how it all evens out. And this is why another reason I really like Roto, because the random fluctuations of guys in head to head. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a little bit. For now, adios.